Hello and welcome to another STEM in a Box instructional video. Today we'll be looking at how to engrave bitmap images or rasters in the EdLaser using LaserWeb4. Now the first thing is to be clear that we are not using vectors today. So vectors are mathematical formulas of a line, whereas bitmaps, images, rasters are where the page is divided up into a series of grids like your TV, and each dot has got a color or a grayscale intensity. So that's called a bitmap. Or an image or a raster. It's not vector. So CAD programs like AutoCAD or Illustrator or those sorts of things, they're all vectors. We're not dealing with vectors today. Great, so let's get started. You need to go and get an image. So I have got a image that I am going to engrave today, and I am just going to keep it really simple, and I'm going to use just Paint, which is the simplest imaginable bitmap editor. Everyone has that inside their computer, so let's just go and get Paint, and here it is here. So Paint is a bitmap editor. Paint.net is excellent. You can also use more sophisticated vector graphics programs as well, but as I said, this is the absolute simplest that we can do, which is just using Paint. Great, so I'm going to go and open up my file, and that's a image that I wanted to engrave. However, I wanted to say dress that up a little bit and put some text on it and a bit of a border. So what I'm going to do is just increase that a little bit. So you can. So this is a bitmap editor, so they're very clumsy to work with. So I'm going to put that down there like that, and very quickly just put a, let's see, just put some text in there. So it's going to be my bitmap engraving, okay. And then what I'm going to do is put a box around that as well, and let's say we just do that like that, okay. Now bitmap editors, like I said, are very clumsy to work with, but you know, they're simple. Great, so now I've got my modified bitmap image that I am going to engrave on EdLaser4. So I'm going to save that, save as, I'm just going to save it as a PNG in downloads. Going to save it as, let's see, my laser engraving bitmap. Okay, excellent. Yes, that's all fine. Excellent. So that's basically doing your artwork job preparation in any bitmap editor. Done. You don't have to do that at all, but we just did. So let's just open up LaserWeb4. Great. Now I am not going to address how to connect LaserWeb4 or do any of the settings. That is done in separate videos. So it's presuming that you know how to connect your EdLaser to LaserWeb4, or I strongly recommend that you don't use serial communication, that you just save the G-code to your network and pass the file across, or throw it to an SD card and move the file across to the machine that way. Great. So let's go and get that PNG that we just saved, and there it is there, my laser engraving. There we go, and it's down there. Okay, so is simply still a bitmap at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, and the bitmaps don't have dimensions. They do in pixels actually. So I'm just going to make it size. Now we're working in millimeters, so I'm going to make it 100 by 100, and I'm going to put it in the corner there. So now because I've expanded it, because of the nature of bitmaps, the resolution is going to be less because I've made the image bigger. So that's 100 by 100. Excellent. So now all we need to do is, we're not going to trace that image or anything, we're just going to raster engrave. So what I need to do is I need to drag that document down and drop it into the G-code box there, and it's recognized that it's an image, and it basically will only let me do a raster anyway. Okay, a raster engrave. Now I need to do my settings. So my bitmap. Now the minimum, maximum, 0 to 100. Now you're just going to have to experiment with this, but basically the bigger you make your laser diameter, the more coarse that the image will be, and so you might want to do that, when the students are experimenting, because otherwise rasters can take an awfully long time, because they zigzag across and they have to go over every single dot over the whole image, so they can take an awful long time to do. So that's why I'm just going to leave it, let's just say make it 0.5 millimeter. Now passes will only be 1. Now the cut rate you will determine through trial and error depending on what you're doing. 500 is a good start if I'm just going to be doing paper or cardboard or something. And I'm not going to do any overscan. I'm going to turn the smoothing on. I'm not going to change any of these settings down here. And I'm pretty happy with those settings. And so now I'm going to click generate. And you can see that the raster G-code is visible down there in the screen. I can also click show preview, so show the raster preview down there, and that shows the preview of what the raster will come out. Now the way the raster works, now the simulator button here down here, we can move that. So if we go to the beginning, okay, so that's if we delete that, you see, so we unclick show documents, so that the laser is starting like this. So now when the G-code starts, it just goes from side to side, and it will only fire when it's over a dot of black. That's the way it works. So it will swing from side to side and then move up, whatever you put the diameter of your laser there. Okay, so the G-code's been generated. We can see what's going on there, and over here is what it's telling us it will look like. So that all looks fine to me. There's no cutout or anything like that. It's just a simple engrave. So you can't use raster engraving to do cutouts. It won't work. It won't effectively work, should I say. So now what we need to do is we can check the G-code. So let's have a look at the G-code, and you can see here that everything is looking good. Yes, the feed rate's 500. Yes, the tool diameter is 0.5 millimeter. Excellent. 0 to 1, so that's 0 to 100%. And there's all the G-code there. So that's all of the zigzagging moves. There's obviously a lot of them, you see, because it's only moving up 0.5 millimeter each time. So the G-code is there. So if you want to use a LaserWeb as a host controller via the serial link, then you can do that. So you would go to control and then you would run the job. But I'm not doing that today. What I'm going to do, I've checked my G-code. I'm just going to export my G-code. I'm going to save it onto my SD card as G-code, and then I'm going to walk over to my machine and put the G-code in the EdLaser and run it from the machine. Great. So thanks very much. That's a simple engraving of a bitmap. Thanks for watching.